What would it feel like to build a business from scratch that makes $1 million in revenue without borrowing a cent or giving away even a small piece of your company? No investor meetings, no pitch decks, no pressure to hit unrealistic growth targets set by venture capitalists. Just you, your idea, your hard work, and a focus on serving customers better than anyone else. It sounds like a fantasy in a world where startups are taught that success depends on raising capital. But it is not a fantasy. This is exactly how one small startup reached its first $1 million. They did it with no investors, no big loans, and no safety net. They built it on grit, smart decisions, and an obsession with solving real problems. Today, I will share the 5 strategies they used. These are not just lessons for entrepreneurs. They are principles anyone can apply if they want to build a business that lasts and keeps full ownership. First idea, solving a real, painful problem with a lean solution. The story began with something most startups overlook: listening carefully to what people actually struggle with. The founders did not start with a clever idea or a passion project. They started with a question: what real problem do people have that no one is solving well? They discovered that small local businesses in their city struggled to manage online bookings efficiently. Big software companies charged high fees or offered bloated platforms with features small businesses did not need. The pain idea was obvious. Local businesses needed a simple, affordable booking system that worked without hassle. Instead of building a massive platform packed with features, they launched with a stripped-down version that solved the most urgent part of the problem. They did not wait to make it perfect. They launched quickly, got feedback, and improved. This is called starting with a minimum viable product. It saved them time, money, and energy. More importantly, it gave them real paying customers from the start. So here is a hard question. Are you building something people truly need, or are you chasing a cool idea that nobody asked for? The fastest way to $1 million is solving a problem that hurts enough people badly enough that they will pay for relief. Second idea, funding growth with customer revenue. Not outside money without investors. The startup had only one way to grow: get paying customers. This forced a level of discipline that most funded startups never learn. They could not burn money on expensive ads, huge marketing campaigns, or fancy office spaces. Every dollar they earned from customers went straight back into the business. They used it to improve the product, pay for tools they needed, and bring in part-time help when it became necessary. They grew based on real demand, not investor hype. This method, often called bootstrapping, meant slower growth at first. But it also meant healthy growth. They never spent money they did not have. They learned how to be efficient, how to make smart bets, and how to measure everything. And the best part, they owned every piece of their business. No investors telling them what to do. No pressure to sell out. If you think you cannot grow without investors, maybe you are looking at growth the wrong way. Real business growth comes from serving customers, not pleasing investors. Third idea, mastering laser-focused marketing and building a loyal community. Marketing can be a money pit or a growth engine. This startup made it a growth engine by focusing all their attention on a specific niche: small local service businesses. They did not waste money on broad ads or random social media campaigns. They spoke directly to the people who needed their product. They joined small business groups on Facebook and LinkedIn. They shared useful content, answered questions, and offered free advice without pushing their product aggressively. Over time, they became known as the helpful experts in online booking. They also started an email newsletter with practical tips for small business owners. They gave away value before asking for anything in return. This community-first approach built trust, and trust turned into loyal customers who not only bought but referred friends. Word of mouth became their strongest marketing tool. So here is a challenge for you. Are you chasing every customer you can find, or are you building a community of people who trust you and believe in your product? There is a big difference between shouting into the void and speaking to a loyal crowd. Fourth idea, running lean operations and maximizing profit margins without the cushion of investor money. This startup had to make every dollar count. They analyzed every part of their operation, from how they built and delivered the product, to customer support, to billing systems. They negotiated with software providers, used automation tools to reduce manual work, and tracked every expense. They did not hire until it was absolutely necessary. They focused on customer retention, knowing that keeping a customer costs less than finding a new one. The result was a lean operation with strong profit margins. They did not just make sales. They made sure those sales left enough profit to fund further growth. This is a key difference between a startup that survives and one that burns out. Many startups focus on getting big fast, even if it means losing money on every sale. But profit is what builds a stable business. Think about your own business. Are you watching your numbers closely, or are you hoping volume alone will save you? Because in the long run, profit is what gives you freedom. Fifth idea, staying persistent. Flexible and founder-led. Every startup faces setbacks, lost deals, tough competition, changing markets. This one was no different. But the founders made a decision early on. They would not quit when things got hard. They would adapt, learn, and keep going. When their first product version failed to attract enough users, they did not panic. They listened to feedback, made adjustments, and relaunched. When bigger competitors copied some of their features, they focused on service and customer experience. They stayed deeply involved in every part of the business. They knew their customers personally, handled support tickets themselves in the early days, and made decisions based on real feedback. Being founder-led gave them flexibility. They did not have to wait for approval or fight with investors over direction. They could pivot fast, try new ideas, and keep moving forward. Persistence, sticking with it even when the winds are slow, is often the difference between a $1 million business and another failed startup story. Are you willing to push through the boring, frustrating, and difficult days? Because that is often when breakthroughs happen. Building trust through transparency and authenticity. One often overlooked reason this startup won loyal customers was their commitment to transparency. They did not hide behind corporate language or fake promises. They communicated openly about what their product could and could not do. They shared their journey, their challenges, and even their mistakes with their community. This honest approach built deep trust with customers. People felt they were dealing with real humans, not a faceless company trying to sell them something. And in today's world, trust is a rare and valuable currency. Being authentic costs nothing but can make all the difference in how your brand is perceived. If you want loyal customers and word-of-mouth growth, start by being honest. Even when it is not easy, ask yourself, are you showing up as your real self in your business, or are you hiding behind a fake image? Because authenticity might be your most powerful business asset. This startup story proves that you do not need $1 million check from investors to make $1 million in revenue. What you need is focus, discipline, and the courage to stay the course when it would be easier to quit. If you want to build a business that lasts and stays yours, learn from this story. Serve your customers better than anyone else, grow within your means, and keep ownership of your vision. And if you want to avoid the mistakes most startups make when they chase investor money, mistakes that cost them control, freedom, and even their company, make sure to check out my next video. I will be breaking down the traps founders fall into and how you can avoid them. Because sometimes, the best investment is the one that lets you keep your freedom.